From insecure to secure, right? That's what I called it. That seemed appropriate for the moment. When I named that, I had 6 couples that day that I was working with, 6 in a row. And the common theme was how much everybody wanted to feel secure in their relationship. First thing, I like to see everybody when I do in-person groups. I actually kind of sit down on the floor with everybody and join everybody. I don't like to place myself ever as the teacher that's teaching you something. I like to be in this with you because I gain the benefit of learning every time I talk about this topic, and I am in it with you just as much. I am a student of what I am telling you today, just as much as you might be. I continuously strive to understand how to make contact with another human being and be close with them. And it is the most challenging thing I've ever done, and the most fascinating thing I've ever done, and the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. So I'm here to share that with you today a little bit. Feel free on your gadget, whatever gadget you're on, if you wish to view speaker only mode, you might see me kind of big on your screen, or if you want to see the grid of people, that makes me smiley and happy, and I'd love to invite you to choose either one. So one of the challenges and paradoxes of what I do is that I'm going to give you information today. And the thing that's the least effective when you're in any kind of couples conflict is information. So I'm immediately in a bind. Any romantic argument or difficulty that you have is often discussed between you and a partner in the hopes of solving it, right? Don't you want to solve any conflict that you're in? The information I'm about to give you is something I want to slow down for a moment with, because one of the main teachings that I always talk about is slow down. We've all heard slow down, right? And that makes sense, right? Slow down. We don't do it. I was in a difficult conversation an hour and a half ago. I forgot to slow down. So I am not here to teach anybody other than myself at the moment to slow down. And why do we slow down? One of the main reasons is that every single sentence that comes from you in your closest relationship could be followed up with looking into the eyes of the person you're saying your information to and seeing what happens next. Think about the 10,000 words that we continuously say to each other when we're in any kind of argument. 10,000, 20,000, 3-hour fight, 5-hour fight. How about a 70-hour fight? Feeling disconnected can last an unlimited amount of time. Many couples come to work with me and they want to give me lots of information, and that's okay because our stories are so important. But what we do not really understand is that every single thing we say using our limited language, words come out, everything we say has an emotion attached to it. That emotion might be numbness, it might be confusion, but it is an emotion. Even if you're quote unquote avoidant, all the things that we judge each other about these days, you're sending a signal of I care about what you're experiencing when I talk, or I don't care about what you're experiencing when I talk. That signal is being sent, whether we like it or not, whether our intention is different or not. My intentions are pretty good. I'm a pretty good guy. My intentions are always to connect. And I don't know if a connection has happened ever until the words come out of my mouth and I observe what just happened in the other. My intentions are maybe I feel kind of alone today and separate, and I want to make contact with you. And the words out of my mouth, by the time they're received by you, could be a massive criticism to you about what I just said. That means I had words. I sent along an emotional signal with those words. And with that emotional signal, by the time it got to you, it was scrambled. You didn't know what I meant. Why is that? Communication, emotional intelligence, being aware of the circular round trip of communication is tricky. Especially with many of us, we've had trauma. Most people these days, if you're in any kind of relationship group like this one, you've had some trauma. I've had a lot, which is why I had to dedicate my entire life, 35 years so far, to helping people understand their trauma and their defenses. Dedicating my life to this was a fairly selfish act. I got to talk to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. And you all helped me tremendously by letting me dig in there and help and understand what's going on. Maybe I'm one step ahead of most of us because most of us don't dedicate our entire lives to understanding vulnerability and how it works, but I have. So what I offer you today is a moment to slow down. And I want you to think about the title, From Insecure to Secure. Just that. Think about how many interpretations. There's 68 people on here. Maybe with couples, there's 85, 90 people. Everybody just had a different interpretation of what it means to go from insecure to secure. Think about that for a moment. The word insecure, that word itself is up there with love, right? It's got 1,000 meanings. Insecure, you could call somebody insecure and that would be a put down, right? You could call somebody secure and be envious, or they could be thinking they're secure and you're over there thinking, well, you're not. I don't like how you behave. Words are just the start of communication, a tiny start. Some studies I was looking up this morning say, 8%. Some said 18%. I never heard that one until this morning. 8 to 18% of communication is with your language. I think it's really low. Can you feel me right now? I'm a little nervous. I'm not nervous in the way I used to be, like I want you to like me or accept me. I'm nervous because I want to do a good job for me in telling you about these things. That's the core of my nervousness right now. If I get across one thing about what I hope people grasp about relationships, that's very fulfilling for me. Getting it across with words takes me slowing down. So from insecure to secure. Insecure to me means my life and my individual ways I go about the world and the things I do and the places I go and the people I meet, while I'm doing the business of going to the gym and eating, buying my excessively large Starbucks coffee every morning, by the time I do these things, sometimes I slow down enough to realize the closest relationship in my life, I have two people, but the one I live with, my Christina, she's the closest relationship and spends the most time with me in my life. And she's in my head. She's right here. She's with me. What do I mean by that? When I think about myself or I talk to myself, we all talk to ourselves. We all have an opinion when we look in the mirror, right? If we're not just primping and prodding our hair, putting on our makeup, I don't put on makeup. If you put on makeup, if you just look in the mirror and you actually take a moment and make contact with yourself, you have an opinion about you. I'm going to add in that Your closest person in your life informs that opinion also. What do I think of Derek as I look in the mirror? Well, if I had an argument with Christina one day and I was a little too defensive and I exited the room and she felt bad and I felt bad, that day, as I go about the business of my day, I feel worse about myself. The person I love the most, I caused to hurt. I caused pain in her. I didn't end being kind and nice and loving and with us looking at each other like, oh, that didn't feel good. Oh, I love you. If we end other than that, it stays with us. We don't want it to. I'm not telling you today that I like all the rules I'm telling you about how relationships work. They're a big pain in my butt. I wish it was easier sometimes, but you know what? Even with the safest, most secure relationship, and I have a very secure relationship with Christina, even with that relationship, every conversation is a challenge, a little bit at least, for me to bring the best of me and know how easily my feelings get hurt, how easily I'm offended, how easily bills and payments and hiring people and the business of life and the IRS and the freaking electric bill we had last month, even with all of those things getting in the way, I have to brush all the details of life aside to make the most important thing in my life with Christina, whether or not we're treating each other well and listening to each other and hearing the conversation going on underneath, which is going on all the time. We don't really have a choice. We can say, no, that's not happening, but it is happening. Whoever's hurting in the relationship the most is the one pulling the relationship down to that level. So if you are annoyed with your partner or you feel like they need to get help and you're pointing at them as the person with the main problem, they feel bad that you feel that about them. That hurts. 1 out of 1,000, maybe your partner says, you're right, I need to get some help. I need to go work on this. I love you. I'm so sorry I'm putting this pressure on our relationship. That's 1 in 1,000. The other 999, you offend and hurt the other person when you tell them that they are the majority of the problem in a relationship. That's not how it works. Every moment of connection is either going upward or downward. Upward is we both understand that details can get in the way and storytelling can get in the way of our care for each other. But the reality is, most of us don't know what I'm sharing right now and don't know how to implement it, including me most of my life. I'm implementing it really well now, finally. Finally figured out some things. So I often say, you're going to hurt each other. If you're in a close romantic relationship and you're engaging and you're truly romantic and you're truly sexual and you're truly involved in each other's lives and the details of your day, if you're doing that, you're in each other's skin. Almost feels like you own each other. You know, how quickly you could say, you know, did you forget that thing? You just go do it. We can talk to each other so quickly. But to the other person receiving that, it's shocking to the system each time. So you're not going to prevent hurting each other. Every couple, almost without fail, that I've ever worked with, at the beginning tries to flow chart out what I'm telling them so they can prevent hurting each other in the future. That's not going to happen. That's not the path. Most self-help books you read are going to explain, here's what happened, here's how to prevent it. But how do you prevent hurting your partner when they're not sitting next to you having a conversation and you witnessing if they just got hurt? You can't. You cannot learn information now about how to prevent messing up in the future. I don't want you to learn how to prevent messing up in the future. I want you to learn what to do after you hurt each other's feelings. That's an improvisation. Couples hurt each other's feelings and don't know what to do next. All of them. All of them, all of them, all of them, 101% of them that come to me. If they hurt each other's feelings and knew what to do next, they would have a secure relationship and they would not need to hire me and work with me because they're out busy having a secure relationship. I love this stuff, by the way. I'm glad we're all here. I love talking about it. And I know some couples on here today that have gone through my work and are very secure, and they want to hear this again because they love it. That's great. It's a thing we can improve upon for the rest of our lives. It's a great topic. I mostly, truthfully, at the depth of what I want this world to have, I truthfully mostly want you to not need me. The goal is to get in and get out. I'm like the dentist. I want you to show up, and if you're hurting each other, I want you to learn as quickly as possible a skill, and it's one skill. I could describe it in 25 different ways, but it's one skill. I'll say in a moment what the skill is. I want you to learn how to do that because then you will have that skill for the rest of your life. You can't unlearn it. It's impossible. Once you know what you're looking for and you stop reorganizing your argument into yet a better argument to try to win your point, once you stop doing that, a neural pathway in your brain actually changes. There's actually studies on this. I talk about it in my weekly group sometimes. There's studies on an actual physiological change happens in you when you're no longer scared of your partner. I'm not talking about you're scared your partner's going to hit you. That's really big fear. If you walk down the hall and you have something to tell your partner and you're going over and over and over it in your mind, trying to figure out the right way to say it, trying to prevent yet again them being offended and then you being offended that they're offended, the spiral of endless argument. Once you're worried about that, if we slow that down, what that means is as you're walking down the hallway, you are being traumatized by your insecure feeling inside about what this conversation is going to have happen. That is called, with my colleagues, emotional danger. It may not sound like danger to some of you if you have more mild distress. I'm going to tell you what I mean by emotional danger. A baby crying in their crib because they've wet their diaper, and mom comes, or dad, 45 minutes later because they're frustrated and impatient with you as a crying baby. When that happens to you, or some other form of neglect or annoyance from mom and dad, you're the little infant that has to adjust. You make adjustments. You cry louder, or you soften your cry and keep it to yourself. In our fancy terminology world, that person became avoidant as an infant. Shrink their feelings. The baby that cries louder and screeches, I'm going to get this need met. That person becomes anxious. What happens when it gets so confusing and randomized? The treatment you're getting as a child, and sometimes the baby gets louder and sometimes the baby gets softer. Welcome to the fearful avoidant or dismissive avoidant being born. It goes in pretty deep. You actually are that kind of person for life. Hate to tell you, I'm anxious. I'm never going to be avoidant. That's for life, but guess what? I can smile a little about this because I have people in my life now who care about my anxiety when it comes up and know how to help me. It's part of the solution here. You're not permanently changing this. It's like grief of somebody close to you that died. you are not changing this basic component of what it means to relate with people. So that's who you are. That's what makes you you. That's what makes you your fascinating, unique self. And finding somebody who can help you with that. Christina helps me with my anxiety. I help Christina with her avoidance. We help each other. Anxiety and avoidance are coping strategies that got too far out of whack. Am I less anxious? Oh yeah, far less anxious. Because I don't get harmed when I have anxiety. A conversation where I'm put down because I'm anxious, I get harmed, and I fuel the neural pathway in my brain that believes it's always going to be that way, and I get more defended and more protective of myself. About 30 years ago is when attachment really started coming into play. I've started saying in some of my writing that we now understand attachment and how to describe it to perfection. In the next 30 years, I hope we understand what to do about it. Calling your partner avoidant is yet another criticism. That means we don't know what to do about it when that's happening. One thing I said earlier was I was going to say the kind of the mission statement of relationships that I wish we would all understand, that I wish we would get. Well, it is the following. And I say it differently every time, and I don't know what's coming right now. I'm going to think about it for a moment. What's the mission statement of relationships? We've all learned to cope in different ways when we're hurting or scared. And we harm each other when that happens. We need to learn how to help each other when we're hurting and scared. That is a central mission statement of a relationship that determines if you can actually make the move from insecure to secure. Because if you debate any point or say what you want and you're not heard, that hurts you. And it hurts your partner that the reason they're not hearing you is because of something else. In my work, I call that a double bind. When I'm hurting because I want something and you're hurting because it invalidates something you want, we're in a bind, we're in a paradox. And we do have to eventually compromise about our choices, but we don't have to compromise about the one thing we can do 100% of the time if we are willing to. Hear each other's pain and support each other in that pain. I have many couples who one partner wants to have a child and the other does not. There's so many reasons. A woman's biological clock, a man feels like he can't afford a third child. It's already stressing him out all the time, and money. Okay, all the reasons, right? So they're going to make a choice and they're going to compromise and they're going to have a baby or not. The problem is the following. If they are arguing over what they want from each other and not hearing each other's dilemma and pain and supporting it, oh man. Do you know how serious of a decision it is to have a child without understanding beforehand what it really meant to both people? If the man gives in and is over pleasing to his wife because she wants the child, for example, his pain and his fear did not get heard. It will come out later. This is the main thing we can do in relationships all the time. So if the woman, I'm simplifying, I know, about a child, but if a woman wants another child or wants a first child, her biological clock is ticking. That is a deep-rooted thing in her that is of high importance, the meaning of that. And the possible pain of not having a child must get opened and unwrapped and shared with her partner. for her to feel that her partner knows what she's going through. If the man feels pressured by such a choice, they're going to fight with no access to creativity together if they're fighting about the behavior choices. Fighting about behavior choices is what every couple that comes to me does. Every single one without fail. They're fighting about the things they don't like about each other and the things they want from each other. And there's virtually very little grasping of what they're hurting about. That's the whole dilemma. And as much as I feel like maybe I'm simplifying it, I know there are 72 to 100 responses right now inside you about what you're hearing. I know that from experience. So we have to dedicate ourselves to a few concepts. I'm going to say them again. If you are trying to not hurt your partner's feelings, you're in trouble. Yes, I want you to be discerning and learn about what you've gone through together, but that can only happen if you understand your impact on each other now in an improvisation. It's an improvisation to hurt your partner's feelings. Remember, that's mandatory. Stop trying to not hurt your partner's feelings. You're going to screw up. If you're going to learn vulnerability and opening your heart and risking to care about another person and actually saying what you need and setting limits and boundaries and all the things to be fully you, you're going to hurt your partner because they're going to be annoyed about your boundaries and they're going to hurt and they're going to want something different. That's where the friction comes in if you don't feel each other's dilemma. You're supposed to have differences. You're supposed to not like what you're telling each other. You're supposed to disagree. But two people that disagree and don't grasp and care about the struggle emotionally about what you're disagreeing about, that's the end of relationship. It will end eventually. Could take 40 years. You won't be happy most of the time, though. Disagree, feel offended, hurt each other, then breathe, slow down. Know that your care for each other is literally a threat. It's a threat to know if your partner who's arguing that you drink too much, if you don't know the impact on them, like the pain they go through when you're off at a bar drinking, that's the way to solve this. If you're arguing about your partner going to AA, you're arguing behaviorally. It's been proven it doesn't work. It doesn't work to tell your partner a thing that you don't like about their behavior, hoping they'll hear you and change their behavior. It doesn't work. And your arguments are good, really good, about why they probably are an alcoholic. You're probably right. Being right has nothing to do with helping solve that dilemma, which ultimately, theoretically, will make your partner go to AA and stop drinking because they know the harm it's causing in the relationship. Or they'll do a modified thing and make sure they don't drink and drive and make sure that they never take anyone in the car if they've had one drink, and make sure they understand the impact emotionally in the relationship. You have to understand what's happening underneath to help each other. Getting blamed, unless it's true abuse, true one person has power over the other, that's got to be stopped. But most things are not that. I'm telling you from experience, most things are not that. Most people feel like they're being abused. They are not. They have unfair, proactive, aggressive communication. That is not abuse. That's two people who don't know that they're equally contributing to a pattern of relating. That's difficult. So the goal, I'm not going to keep this meeting super long. I want to show you a little bit of the back end. I've never done this before in a group setting. I want to show you what I've been doing for years to take people from insecure to secure. The good news is that you already have 50 skills to keep insecurity happening. You already know how to argue. You're already smart. Like, I'm looking at the people on here and I'm seeing people nodding their heads. They're understanding me. You guys are smart, and you know that, and I know that. And many of us are college educated. My favorite people to work with sometimes are therapists. They're so intelligent. The great news is I get to bring them to kindergarten out of their PhD program and bring them to kindergarten. I love that. And they get to unlearn all 50 skills. So throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away. You think the human heart understands what a mortgage is or what anxious attachment is? The heart does not know what you're talking about. No idea. You think the heart understands drug addiction? The heart understands if you're being offended or not. That's it. Last week, I shared half of my peanut butter and jelly sandwich with you. And today, Monday morning, I forgot my lunch. And you're not going to share something from your lunch with me, like a candy bar or something? I'm picking a new best friend. I don't want to swing with you on the swing set any longer. That's it. That's what the human heart understands. Almost nothing else. I don't like you anymore. I'm picking a new best friend. When you're having an adult romantic relationship conflict, most of the details are not understood by the person in charge. Who's the person in charge? Your nervous system's in charge. What's coming at you with your hair blowing back from all the aggressive words? You're trying to listen because you're a good person. Hi, Kathy. Yes, I'll probably put out the recording. Everyone on here that signed up for this is on an email list, which means you'll get emailed again when I'm doing more classes, and you'll get a recording of this. When words are coming at you, both people can learn what to do next. If you are somebody, for example, who listens to your partner tell you their problems for 45 minutes, you are participating in the 50% of your side of why you're not going to connect that day. Nobody can hear 45 minutes of somebody's distress. I can, just because I'm trained to and I'm in a position to listen and help. But if you're in romantic argument and the person is talking for 45 minutes, they are talking because they can't get heard. And they've experienced this their whole life, not being heard. Nobody has 45 minutes of things to share when they're being heard, because to be vulnerable and be listened to and have care coming towards you with your pain, it's not happening if you're talking for 45 minutes or 7 hours. Nobody's listening. The person who is listening for 45 minutes or 7 hours is a good person, is doing the right thing inside their mind. I got to listen, right? That's how I could be a good partner. But there's a deeper truth. They stopped listening on a certain level a couple minutes into it because they're bracing for impact about yet another bunch of distress that they can't help with. Because by the end of the 45 minutes, when they try to offer suggestions and reassurance, the person talking doesn't want reassurance. They want to hear, "Aw, it's been a hard day. Where's your boo-boo? Let me kiss it." That's what the human heart understands. Where's your boo-boo? Let me kiss it. You cannot continuously talk or be the one continuously listening and solve a dilemma. I left a couple one time on Zoom a couple years ago. I left them on here by accident, meaning I said, "You guys can keep talking because I don't have another meeting." And thank God I had multiple licenses of Zoom. That it cut off. I think it was 18 hours. All of a sudden I got a notification a day later your meeting is now available. And I'm like, what meeting? And a couple had an 18-hour fight and didn't realize they were recorded on a session. I didn't watch it. It was, I treat that as confidential. I was like, wow, that's 18 hours. I didn't know Zoom could do an 18-hour meeting. What is being said in 18 hours? I'm hurting. I'm scared. I don't know how to get you with your eyes understanding my pain and supporting it. That's the whole argument. Always. Every time. I just got put into tears from Allie. What's a boo-boo? Well, I got a little cut here and I'm bleeding. I've done this. A little girl, a cousin I was watching, not a cousin, a niece. She fell. She scrapes her knee. I check in to see how seriously it's bleeding. I make eye contact with her. I kiss her on the knee, and she goes off and plays again. She needed that comfort that it's okay to hurt and get validated. that's, that's what we all need. And we don't know how to do it because adult life is more complex than a little girl falling on a bicycle, right?